Hypnosis has always lived in a strange intersection between science, mystery, and imagination. For some people, it's a stage trick, a performer making people cluck like chickens. For others, it's a therapeutic tool that can change lives, erase lifelong habits, and unlock parts of the mind we usually can't access. But behind all the myths, the jokes, and the movies, there is one question humanity has not stopped asking. What actually happens inside the brain during hypnosis? What changes? Why do people become more suggestible? Why does pain go away for some patients? Why do traumatic memories emerge or disappear? How can a simple voice shift brainwave patterns that normally take years of meditation to master? If you've ever been in hypnosis, even a light state, you may have noticed a strange sensation. You aren't sleeping. You aren't unconscious. But you're also not fully awake in the normal sense. You're in an in-between zone, a narrow tunnel of awareness where your body feels heavy, your thoughts slow down, and your mind becomes open in a way that feels almost impossible during normal waking life. Scientists call this zone the hypnagogic state, the same mental doorway you pass through right before you fall asleep. But during hypnosis, something unique happens. You enter that state consciously. You're awake enough to hear every word. You're relaxed enough for your mind to drift freely. It's as if the brain turns a hidden switch that says, "Let the outside world fade. Focus inward." Inside your brain, millions of neurons begin synchronizing in new ways, especially in areas linked to imagination, attention, and emotional regulation. You become less aware of your surroundings and more aware of your inner world. Think of it like shifting from the bright, noisy daytime mode of the mind into a dim, quiet nighttime mode, except you remain in control. Although hypnosis can feel magical, the process follows a predictable pattern inside the brain. Researchers break it into 3 phases. Phase 1, absorption. Your focus narrows. Your mind becomes less distracted by external stimuli. You tune into the hypnotist's voice or your own internal experience. For example, if someone says, "Focus on your breathing," your brain actually reduces activity in areas responsible for scanning the environment. You temporarily care less about everything else. Phase 2, dissociation. Your sense of self begins to change. You may feel like your body is floating, vibrating, or heavy. You may feel detached from thoughts or emotions. This isn't weird or dangerous. It's simply your brain loosening its normal grip on identity. The part of you that says, "I'm in control," takes a step back. Phase 3, suggestibility. Your mind starts responding more strongly to ideas and imagery. Your imagination becomes vivid and real. You enter a mental state where thoughts feel like experiences. This is why hypnotic suggestions like "your hand is getting lighter" or "you're feeling calmer" can create real, physical sensations. The brain becomes more willing to accept constructive ideas and less tied to habitual patterns. If someone placed EEG electrodes on your head while you were entering hypnosis, they would see something remarkable. Your brainwave patterns, electrical oscillations produced by billions of neurons, begin to change. A normal awake brain operates mostly in beta waves, fast, analytical, busy. During hypnosis, beta waves drop. Then 2 other wave patterns take over. Alpha waves, relaxation and creativity. These waves appear when people meditate, daydream, or relax deeply. Under hypnosis, alpha waves increase dramatically in the occipital and parietal regions, the parts of the brain tied to internal imagery. Theta waves are normally seen only during deep meditation, childhood learning, the early stages of sleep. Theta is associated with emotional processing and memory reprogramming. Under hypnosis, your brain produces both alpha and theta simultaneously, something very few states can achieve. This alpha-theta blend is one reason hypnosis is so powerful for transforming beliefs, reducing anxiety, easing pain, changing habits, enhancing creativity. You're calm, open, and suggestible, but still aware. The part of your brain responsible for rational control, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, DLPFC, begins to reduce its activity under hypnosis. This is the region that normally analyzes information, questions suggestions, worries, makes decisions, resists change. In hypnosis, the DLPFC softens, not completely, but enough that the front door to the subconscious mind opens. This is why you can access beliefs, memories, and emotions that are usually buried beneath everyday awareness. It's also why people under hypnosis can stop smoking, can overcome phobias, can reduce chronic pain, can change limiting beliefs. The rational brain stops blocking the deeper brain from healing. Another part of your brain, the default mode network, DMN, becomes more active during hypnosis. This network handles imagination, mental imagery, inner narratives, visualization, creative thinking. When someone under hypnosis imagines a warm light healing their body, the brain responds as if that light is real. When they imagine releasing stress, the brain reduces cortisol. When they imagine confidence, the brain begins generating the associated emotional hormones. In a way, hypnosis makes imagination biologically powerful. One strange effect many people experience is time distortion. 5 minutes can feel like 30, or vice versa. This is because the brain's insula, a region that helps track internal sensations and time, becomes less active during hypnosis. Your sense of self, body, and time all become more fluid. This opens the door for deep therapeutic work because the brain stops its usual clock checking and dives into immersion. Hypnosis doesn't make you lose control. It doesn't let anyone take over your mind. Instead, it allows you to bypass the critical filter that normally stands between the conscious and subconscious mind. In everyday life, this filter protects you, but it also blocks change. You might want to stop smoking, but the subconscious habit is stronger. You might want to feel confident, but old beliefs interrupt. You might want to eliminate anxiety, but the mind replays past fear loops. Under hypnosis, the conscious mind relaxes. The subconscious mind listens. The old programming becomes editable. Hypnosis is like entering the settings menu of your brain, the part you normally can't access. Many people assume hypnosis makes you helpless or unconscious. This is false. During scientific studies, participants under hypnosis show clear signs of awareness. They respond to questions. They track the hypnotist's instructions. They can exit hypnosis anytime. They retain their values and morals. They reject suggestions that don't fit them. In fact, hypnosis enhances internal control, not external control. It gives you direct access to the hidden engine of the mind. Think of hypnosis like a guided form of focused meditation, except faster and more powerful. As the brain's networks shift, something beautiful happens. The inner critic quiets. Imagination becomes vivid. Emotions soften. Clarity increases. The mind stops multitasking. It's like switching from a noisy, cluttered room to a quiet, peaceful temple. People often describe this state as floating, warm, dreamy, spacious, deeply safe, deeply aware. This combination of safety plus awareness is one of the main reasons hypnosis is therapeutic. It lets you explore your inner world without fear. Hypnosis doesn't just relax you. It doesn't just change your brainwaves. It doesn't just make you feel calm, floaty, or open. It goes deeper, far deeper, into regions of the mind most people never consciously access in their entire lifetime. In Part 2, we're diving straight into the core of the transformation. What exactly happens to memory, trauma, emotions, and neural circuits once the brain enters a hypnotic state? This is where the real magic begins. This is where your brain stops replaying old loops and starts writing new ones. Most people think memory is like a video recording, stable, accurate, stored forever. But neuroscience proves the opposite. Memory is alive. Every time you recall an event, you don't just retrieve the memory, you rewrite it. This process is called memory reconsolidation. During hypnosis, this reconsolidation process becomes faster, deeper, and more flexible. Why? Because the brain region responsible for evaluating memories, the hippocampus, becomes more active and more sensitive to suggestion. At the same time, the emotional charge of memory stored in the amygdala softens. This creates a rare combination. A memory becomes vivid. Its emotional intensity decreases. The brain becomes open to new interpretations. So if someone remembers a painful event while in hypnosis, the mind doesn't just replay it, it transforms it. The emotional meaning can shift. The fear can dissolve. The brain literally updates the memory with new emotional information. This is how hypnosis reduces fear, guilt, shame, or trauma associated with past experiences. The memory is the same, but the emotional reaction becomes completely different. Trauma leaves deep marks on the brain, especially in 3 regions. The amygdala, fear and survival response. The hippocampus, memory formation. The prefrontal cortex, regulation and logic. In traumatic memory, the amygdala dominates. It screams louder than logic. It pulls the brain back into the past. During hypnosis, however, the amygdala slows down. Its electrical firing rate decreases. The brain stops reacting emotionally and starts observing calmly. This means A traumatic memory can be revisited without pain. The brain can re-experience safely. The emotional charge disconnects from the event. When the emotional charge disappears, the trauma loop breaks. This doesn't erase the memory, it erases the fear. Many therapeutic hypnotists use this mechanism to help people overcome phobias, PTSD, panic disorders, and even emotional wounds from childhood. It's not magic, it's neurobiology. One of the most powerful effects of hypnosis is the way it transforms emotional processing. The brain's anterior cingulate cortex, ACC, the region tied to emotional regulation and decision-making, becomes more active during hypnosis. When the ACC lights up, something special happens. Emotional responses become calmer. Negative feelings become easier to observe. You stop reacting automatically. You start responding consciously. This is why hypnosis is so effective for anxiety, stress, overthinking, emotional overwhelm, negative self-talk, anger, deep sadness. The part of the brain that normally gets hijacked by strong emotions suddenly becomes clear, focused, and balanced. It's like installing an emotional upgrade. Every habit, belief, and emotional pattern is stored in the brain as a neural pathway, a physical connection between neurons. Some pathways are strong because they've been repeated for years. Examples: I'm not good enough. I can't quit smoking. I always fail. I don't deserve love. I'm anxious in social situations. These loops become automatic. You don't choose them, they choose you. During hypnosis, however, the brain becomes plastic again, more flexible, more moldable, more open to change. Weakening old pathways becomes easier because the brain is no longer defending them. If the hypnotist introduces a new idea, such as you are worthy or you are calm and confident, that new neural pattern has a chance to grow because the old one is temporarily weakened. Hypnosis doesn't force change. It makes change possible. The brain has two primary learning modes. Normal learning, slow, conscious, logical, repetitive, requires discipline, takes weeks or months. This is how you learn languages, skills, habits, behaviors. Hypnotic learning, fast, subconscious, emotional, vivid imagery, deep belief, changes in hours or days. During hypnosis, the brain re-enters a learning state similar to childhood. Theta waves dominate, which means imagination becomes powerful, emotions imprint faster, suggestions become beliefs, new patterns form quickly. This is why people under hypnosis can change their self-esteem in one session, drop long-term habits, stop phobias, accept new identities, heal old emotional wounds. It's not that hypnosis forces the brain to learn. It simply activates the learning system that already exists. The critical faculty is the mental filter that normally says, "This sounds unrealistic. This won't work. I don't believe this. I'm not like that. Nothing can change me." It blocks new ideas, even good ones. During hypnosis, this filter relaxes. It's not disabled, just quiet. This makes suggestions more powerful because they aren't being rejected automatically. This is why hypnotic suggestions are always positive, simple, and direct, such as, "You are calm. You are strong. You are healing. You choose self-control. You let go of fear." These ideas go straight to the subconscious and begin forming new patterns. 7. The subconscious mind processes time differently. In hypnosis, time distortion isn't just a feeling. The subconscious literally processes information without linear time. Events from the past may feel happening now. Future possibilities feel immediate and real. This is powerful for therapy because old pain can be released as if it's happening in the present. New confidence can be installed as if it already exists. Future goals can be felt so strongly they become believable. The subconscious loves vivid experiences, not logic. Hypnosis gives it exactly that point. One of the most scientifically proven uses of hypnosis is pain control. Here's what happens. Pain isn't just physical. It is a combination of nerve signals, emotional interpretation, attention. Under hypnosis, the somatosensory cortex, responsible for feeling the pain, decreases activity. The prefrontal cortex stops amplifying the pain signal. The brain reroutes the sensation into neutral or warm categories. Some people under hypnosis undergo dental procedures, surgeries, even childbirth, with little or no pain. This is not imagination. It's a neurological shift where the brain literally reinterprets the meaning of the sensation. Pain is not erased. The suffering associated with the pain is disconnected. The subconscious mind runs its own survival software. Some of it is helpful, like pulling your hand away from fire, but much of it is outdated. Fear of abandonment. Fear of failure, fear of being judged, fear of taking risks, fear of loss, fear of repeating the past. Hypnosis temporarily turns off the survival autopilot and lets you view fears objectively. When the brain stops running its ancient protective programming, it becomes easier to adopt healthier perspectives. This is why hypnosis can bring courage, clarity, emotional strength, inner peace, self-trust. You're not becoming a different person. You're becoming your real self without fear. Most people try to change habits at a surface level. I will try to eat healthy. I will try to think positive. I'll try to stop worrying. All of these fail because they are behavior-level goals. Hypnosis, however, works at the identity level. Instead of changing what you do, it changes who you believe you are. For example, I want to stop smoking, low success. I am a non-smoker now, high success. I should be confident, weak. I am confident, strong. Hypnosis bypasses conscious effort and installs new identity statements directly into the subconscious. Once identity shifts, behavior follows automatically. Many people fear hypnosis because they misunderstand it. They assume it's mind control. But neuroscience proves the opposite. During hypnosis, awareness increases, focus increases, internal control increases, values remain intact, moral beliefs remain strong. The hypnotist cannot force you to do anything. You simply become more aligned with your own intentions. Hypnosis is a partnership, not power over someone. The biggest barrier to emotional healing is resistance. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to feel it. I don't want to change. Hypnosis doesn't fight resistance. It dissolves it. When the conscious mind relaxes, when emotions soften, when the internal critic quiets, when the subconscious opens, healing becomes not only possible, but effortless. This is why a single hypnosis session can feel like months of talk therapy. Human beings don't live in facts, we live in stories. I am unlucky. People always leave me. I am not good enough. My life can't change. These stories become self-fulfilling prophecies because the subconscious tries to maintain consistency. Hypnosis lets you rewrite the story, not with forced positivity, but with believable emotional truth. Instead of "I'm broken," the subconscious accepts, I am growing. Instead of "nobody cares," the mind accepts, I am worthy of connection. Hypnosis helps rewrite the inner story, and the outer life follows. One fascinating part of hypnosis is that the brain continues integrating changes after the session. This is called the post-hypnotic effect. The subconscious keeps reinforcing the new patterns, weakening the old ones, replaying the visualizations, solidifying the emotional changes. This is why hypnotic results often improve over days or weeks. People often treat the subconscious like a spiritual or mystical concept, but it's actually a biological system, a collection of brain regions, networks, and chemical processes that operate outside conscious awareness. Hypnosis is simply the fastest way to interact with this system. When the brain enters an altered state, it learns faster, it heals deeper, it feels safer, it transforms more permanently. This is not magic. This is neuroplasticity. Because hypnosis doesn't just calm you. It doesn't just relax you. It doesn't just change how you think. It changes how you see yourself. It changes what you believe is possible. It changes your identity. This may sound unbelievable, but neuroscience supports it. Your identity, your personality, beliefs, self-concept, and mental abilities isn't fixed. It's a dynamic network of neural pathways, and hypnosis can reshape them. Prepare for one of the most mind-blowing sections of this entire series. Most people grow up believing personality is fixed. I'm shy. I'm anxious. I'm confident. I'm unlucky. I'm emotional. I'm logical. I'm always stressed. But neuroscience proves identities are constructed, not inherited. They are neural habits, patterns repeated so often that you mistake them for who you are. Identity is not destiny. Identity is programming. Hypnosis works directly at the level of identity by accessing the subconscious system that controls self-worth, self-image, self-confidence, beliefs, emotional reactions, thought patterns, personality traits. Most people try to change their life by changing actions. Hypnosis changes the self that creates those actions. This is why it works so powerfully. There is a hidden self-image in your subconscious mind. This internal blueprint decides how successful you become, how confident you feel, how much money you earn, how much love you allow, how much fear controls you, how you handle stress, how you think others see you. People never outperform their self-image. They always return to it. If your subconscious identity says, "I always fail," you will. "I don't deserve love," relationships will struggle. "I'm not confident," you will avoid opportunities. "I can't learn fast," intelligence will stagnate. "I'm unlucky," your mind will filter for problems. Hypnosis changes the blueprint, and your life changes automatically, because behavior follows identity, not the other way around. When brainwave patterns shift into the alpha-theta range and the critical faculty relaxes, something special happens. The brain enters identity editing mode. This means self-judgment fades, resistance lowers. The old self no longer feels rigid. New possibilities feel believable. New stories feel natural. New personality traits feel real. During hypnosis, the subconscious becomes open to new identity-level suggestions like, "You are naturally confident." "You are calm and grounded." "You are capable and intelligent." "You trust yourself." "You speak clearly and assertively." The brain accepts these not as ideas, but as truths. Repeated in the hypnotic state, these become your new identity. According to neuroscience, personality traits come from patterns in the prefrontal cortex, the limbic system, the anterior cingulate cortex, the default mode network. Traits like confidence, calmness, discipline, humor, creativity, and emotional sensitivity are all neural habits. Hypnosis modifies them by weakening the old emotional triggers, strengthening new emotional patterns, increasing neuroplasticity, reducing fear pathways, amplifying imagination and motivation networks. Someone who has been anxious for 20 years can become calm. Someone who has been shy forever can become outgoing. Someone low in confidence can become bold. Someone who feels stuck can become unstoppable. These transformations happen because hypnosis accesses the brain regions that form personality, not the conscious stories you tell yourself. Beliefs are not thoughts. They are predictions your brain makes based on past experiences. Example: if you failed in the past, your brain predicts failure in the future. If you were rejected, your brain predicts rejection again. If you were hurt, your brain predicts danger everywhere. Hypnosis updates these predictions by giving the subconscious new emotional evidence. Under hypnosis, belief shifts like, "I can't, I can," I'm weak, I'm strong. I don't deserve success, I'm worthy of success. I'm broken, I'm healing. Life is hard, life supports my growth. And once a belief changes, your whole world changes with it. Because your brain begins predicting positivity instead of fear. Creativity is not a talent, it is a brain state. It comes from the default mode network, the same region activated during daydreaming, brainstorming, imagination, storytelling, visualization. During hypnosis, this network becomes more active, more flexible, and more synchronized. This is why many people under hypnosis come up with new ideas effortlessly, solve problems instantly, think visually, feel more artistic, become more intuitive, access memories more clearly, imagine with greater detail. Some people report entering a creative flow state similar to musicians, artists, athletes, and writers at their peak, but without effort. Creativity thrives when the logical mind relaxes and the subconscious opens. Hypnosis creates the perfect environment for that. This is one of the most surprising findings. Hypnosis can temporarily, and sometimes permanently, increase cognitive abilities. Here's how. 1. Reduced mental noise. When anxiety, overthinking, and internal criticism decrease, intelligence rises because the brain stops wasting energy. 2. Increased working memory. Hypnosis increases activity in the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, allowing people to focus better, process information faster, hold more ideas at once. 3. Faster neural processing. The calm, synchronized theta state allows the brain to make faster connections. 4. Enhanced problem solving. The creative brain and logical brain communicate more effectively. 5. Higher self-belief. Believing you're intelligent increases performance, and hypnosis amplifies that belief. Hypnosis doesn't make you a genius. It removes the blocks that stop you from using the intelligence you already have. That IQ is one thing, emotional intelligence is another. Research shows hypnosis dramatically boosts empathy, patience, self-awareness, emotional interpretation, emotional regulation, decision-making, conflict resolution. This is because hypnosis activates the insular and prefrontal cortex, which help you understand your feelings without being overwhelmed by them. This makes people better communicators, better partners, better leaders, better parents, better friends, better problem solvers. Hypnosis increases your emotional bandwidth, the capacity to handle emotions gracefully. Everyone has identity limits, invisible walls the subconscious creates. These limits decide how much success you accept, how much love you allow, how much money you believe you can earn, how much confidence you feel comfortable with, how much happiness you think you deserve, how much growth you permit. Hypnosis dissolves these internal walls. When the subconscious hears powerful suggestions in a relaxed, open state, those suggestions become new upper limits. Examples: old identity, I survive. New identity, I thrive. Old identity, I'm average. New identity, I'm capable of greatness. Old identity, I'm unlucky. New identity, I attract opportunities. Old identity, I don't deserve more. New identity, I am worthy. Once these walls come down, potential expands naturally. The subconscious communicates through images, emotions, and sensory experiences, not logic or language. Under hypnosis, imagination becomes vivid. Emotions become responsive. Images feel real. Metaphors become powerful. Visualizations create physical sensations. This is why a simple hypnotic suggestion like, "Imagine a warm golden light filling your chest," can create actual warmth. The brain responds as if the imagined experience is physical reality. This imagination emotion loop is the engine of identity transformation. One of the most fascinating parts of hypnosis is identity simulation. The brain can temporarily adopt new traits in the hypnotic state, such as more confidence, more assertiveness, more discipline, more charisma, more calmness, more courage. This is because the subconscious is exploring possibilities without fear. When the new personality feels safe, comfortable, and empowering, it becomes permanent. You try it. You like it. You keep it. Hypnosis gently guides the mind into a better version of itself. People often report discovering new abilities during hypnosis. Heightened creativity, improved memory, accelerated learning, increased intuition, better decision-making, sharper sensory awareness, faster comprehension, deeper emotional insight. These abilities were always there. They were simply blocked by stress, fear, or limiting beliefs. Hypnosis removes the blocks and reveals the potential. Beneath your everyday personality is a deeper, wiser part of you, often called the authentic self, the inner self, the higher self, the true identity, the subconscious core, the witnessing awareness. In normal life, this deeper self is buried under insecurity, conditioning, childhood programming, doubts, fear, ego identity. Hypnosis quiets the noise and allows this deeper self to emerge. This self is confident, calm, intuitive, courageous, compassionate, stable, centered, powerful. Hypnosis doesn't create these qualities. It reveals them. Once new identity patterns form, the brain naturally reinforces them by repeating new thoughts, generating confirming emotions, perceiving the world differently, attracting new experiences, strengthening new neural pathways. Hypnosis plants the seed. Life waters it. The subconscious grows it. This is why hypnotic transformation feels so natural. It doesn't force change. It unlocks who you really are. Does hypnosis unlock hidden memories, or does it rewrite them? To understand this, we journey into the brain's memory centers, the architecture of recall, the circuitry of imagination, and the thin line between remembering and creating. Memory isn't stored in one place. It's a circuit, a path, a loop of brain regions constantly retrieving, organizing, and rewriting information. Under normal conditions, the memory network works like a librarian, selecting the right file, filtering information, blocking out irrelevant details, making sure memories don't interfere with each other. But under hypnosis, the librarian relaxes. The executive filter in the prefrontal cortex becomes quiet. The archive in the hippocampus becomes more sensitive, and the imagination engine in the default mode network becomes more active. The result? A state where memories feel sharper, emotions feel stronger, past experiences feel closer, suggestions feel truer. This is why hypnosis is powerful in memory-based therapy, and also why it can be risky. Many hypnotists claim hypnosis boosts memory. Science says, sometimes yes, sometimes absolutely not. Here's the truth. Heavy checkmark memory under hypnosis becomes more detailed in experience, but not always more accurate. People often believe they remember better, even when they don't. Why does this happen? Because hypnosis increases confidence, reduces doubt, enhances emotional immersion, lowers critical evaluation, boosts imagination activity. This creates memories that feel real even if they aren't perfect. However, when memory and emotional context align, hypnosis can actually help people recall details they genuinely forgot. Smells, sounds, sensory impressions, emotional tones, minor experiences. For example, someone may not remember the exact wording of a conversation, but may recall the emotional atmosphere, tone, and impact with surprising clarity. While hypnosis is not a magic memory machine, it absolutely can enhance everyday recall. Here's the neuroscience behind it. Heavy checkmark, the hippocampus becomes more receptive, making it easier to imprint new information. Heavy checkmark, the amygdala quiets down, reducing stress, which is the biggest enemy of memory. Heavy checkmark, the mind becomes single-tasked. Focused attention boosts memory encoding dramatically. Heavy checkmark, internal distraction shuts down. People can absorb information with less noise. This is why many students and professionals use forms of self-hypnosis to improve concentration, reduce exam anxiety, absorb large amounts of information, improve performance under pressure. Hypnosis doesn't give you perfect memory. It gives you ideal learning conditions. This is where hypnosis becomes dangerous if misused, because hypnosis increases imagination, belief, emotional realism. It can sometimes produce false memories that feel absolutely real, not because the hypnotist lies, not because the person hallucinates, but because imagination becomes integrated into memory networks. The brain doesn't store memories like files. It reconstructs them every time you recall them. Under hypnosis, the line between what happened, what might have happened, what I imagine happened, becomes extremely thin. This is why some courts reject hypnosis-based testimony. It's not that hypnosis makes people lie. It makes them overconfident in what they believe is true. In a normal waking state, the brain operates with strong filters. Critical thinking, doubt, skepticism, logical evaluation, these are all active. Under hypnosis, those filters fade. The conscious mind becomes quiet, allowing suggestions to slip deeper into the subconscious. This means memories can shift, emotional interpretations can change, sensory impressions can distort, new memories can be constructed, not deliberately, but neurologically. The brain is designed to rewrite memories every time we access them. Hypnosis simply increases the rewrite vulnerability. This can be a powerful tool for healing traumatic memories, but must be used ethically. One of the most powerful uses of hypnosis is trauma resolution. Here's what trauma does to the brain. Overactivates the amygdala, freezes the hippocampus, distorts memory sequencing, locks emotions into physical sensations, creates a looping stress cycle. Under hypnosis, the amygdala calms, the hippocampus reopens access, the body relaxes, emotional memory becomes flexible, new interpretations can be added. Hypnosis does not erase trauma. Instead, it softens the emotional pain, rewrites the meaning, replaces panic with calm, allows the person to observe rather than relive, reorganizes the memory into a healthy narrative. This is why trauma therapists often use hypnotic techniques, even if they don't call them hypnosis. This is the question that divides scientists. Some say yes, hypnosis allows access to memories that were repressed, forgotten, emotionally blocked. People under hypnosis sometimes recall childhood scenes, early emotional impressions, sensations they didn't know they retained, events stored in implicit memory. Others say no, hypnosis doesn't reveal hidden memories. It creates convincing but inaccurate reconstructions. The truth is likely in between. Hypnosis unlocks emotional memory, not video-recorded factual memory. People remember feelings, atmospheres, sensory impressions, intuitions, states of mind. This can be incredibly helpful for healing, but not reliable for objective truth. Movies show hypnotists erasing memories like deleting files. Reality is different. Hypnosis cannot erase memories, but it can remove emotional pain, fear, shame, trauma activation, negative associations. The memory remains, but its emotional charge is removed. This is known as emotional neutralization or memory reconsolidation interference. Hypnosis helps the brain rewrite the meaning, not delete the event. Confabulation means filling in missing pieces. Under hypnosis, the brain is more likely to complete incomplete memories, blend imagination with recall, fill gaps with emotional truth, guess details with confidence. This happens unconsciously. The person is not lying. They are creating a coherent memory that feels correct. Why does the brain do this? Because the brain values coherence, narrative continuity, emotional meaning, are often more than factual accuracy. This is one of the most fascinating and misunderstood aspects of hypnosis. Neuroscientists have identified specific regions that become more active or less active during hypnotic recall and reconstruction. Heavy check mark increased activity. Anterior cingulate cortex emotional evaluation. Insular interoception and emotional realism. Default mode network imagination and narrative construction. Heavy check mark decreased activity. Dorsolateral prefrontal cortex critical thinking. Parietal cortex spatial accuracy. Lateral frontal regions skepticism. The result? A memory world that feels more vivid, more emotional, more symbolic, more intuitive, and sometimes less factual. Hypnosis is neither magic nor manipulation. It is a state of openness. Used correctly, it heals trauma, reduces emotional pain, enhances learning, improves focus, strengthens confidence, unlocks emotional understanding. Used incorrectly, it creates false memories, increases belief in inaccurate detail, makes people overconfident, blurs imagination and reality. This is why ethics are critical in any hypnosis involving memory. People often imagine the subconscious as a massive warehouse of forgotten memories. In reality, it is more like patterns, emotions, sensory associations, belief structures, behavioral scripts, internal narratives. Hypnosis works on the meaning layer of memory, not the factual layer. This is why people under hypnosis reconnect with emotions, re-experience childhood patterns, understand inner beliefs, unlock symbolic memories, suddenly see the emotional truth behind past events. Hypnosis brings the emotional memory system online. This is where true transformation happens. When someone says, "I remembered something I didn't know I remembered," it may be a real implicit memory, an emotional memory, a sensory trace, a symbolic reconstruction. Hypnosis enhances immersion, visualization, sensory detail, emotional realism. This makes memories feel like they are coming alive, even if the details are reconstructed. Again, accuracy is not the strength of hypnosis. Insight is, this is not unique to hypnosis. This is how memory works for every human, every day. Every memory is a reconstruction. Hypnosis simply increases fluidity, lowers resistance, boosts emotional detail, enhances imagination, allows reinterpretation. When you recall a memory under hypnosis, you are not retrieving a file. You are rebuilding an experience. And this is what makes hypnosis so powerful for healing. Your brain under hypnosis becomes more emotional, more imaginative, more immersive, more suggestible, more open, more vulnerable, more capable of transformation. Memory becomes a story, not a recording, a story that hypnosis can rewrite, not in terms of facts, but in terms of meaning. What is the subconscious mind, and does hypnosis truly unlock it, or simply shape it? People imagine the subconscious as a dark underground chamber filled with hidden memories, secrets, fears, and untapped powers. But the actual neuroscience is far more incredible than that. The subconscious isn't a place. It's a network. A living intelligence made of instincts, patterns, predictions, emotions, and learned responses. In this chapter, we explore how hypnosis doesn't just influence this network, it communicates with it. Hypnosis becomes the language the subconscious understands best. Imagery, metaphor, emotion, and suggestion. This is where the mind becomes astonishingly powerful. Your subconscious runs breathing, posture, habits, fears, preferences, language patterns, emotional responses, memories, impulses, thought loops, reactions. It's the ultimate automation system. 95% of your daily life runs without conscious control. Hypnosis doesn't take you into a hidden cave of memories. It takes you into the control room of these automatic systems. Every time you blink, breathe, react, flinch, smile, or feel drawn to something, the subconscious is at work. Under hypnosis, the conscious supervisor relaxes. The subconscious operators take the call. Old instructions can be rewritten. New patterns can be installed. Emotional responses can be reset. This is why hypnosis is incredibly effective for habits, emotions, cravings, fears, and confidence. It doesn't try to persuade the conscious mind. It talks directly to the automatic one. Your conscious mind loves logic. Your subconscious loves images. This is why dreams speak in symbols. It's why trauma returns as images. It's why your mind thinks in pictures before it thinks in words. Hypnosis uses metaphors, visual scenes, sensory imaginings, symbolic journeys, emotional landscapes. These bypass logical analysis and speak directly to the subconscious operating system. Under hypnosis, the brain's visual cortex becomes more active, even with eyes closed. You see more vividly in your mind. That's because the subconscious uses imagery to encode beliefs, store emotional experiences, process change, create meaning. Hypnosis doesn't force the mind to change. It shows the mind a picture of change and lets the subconscious adopt it. Logic rarely changes behavior. Emotion almost always does. Why? Because emotions shape the subconscious neural pathways behind habits and decisions. When you smoke, binge eat, fear rejection, feel insecure, procrastinate, doubt yourself, it's not a logical problem. It's an emotional one. Under hypnosis, emotional centers become more open. Fear becomes flexible. Motivation increases. Confidence strengthens. Negative emotion detaches from memory. New emotional associations form. A suggestion delivered with emotion under hypnosis becomes a subconscious command. This is why hypnotherapy works on addictions, confidence, anxiety, trauma, performance, motivation, body image, self-worth. Your subconscious speaks the language of feeling. Hypnosis speaks that language fluently. The subconscious holds more information than the conscious mind ever could. You consciously process about 40 bits of info per second. Your subconscious processes 11 million bits per second. You consciously remember maybe 7 items. Your subconscious stores everything you've ever experienced, not always accurately, but in some form. Under hypnosis, something shocking happens. Your analytic mind relaxes, and your intuitive mind becomes dominant. People often experience sudden insights, new ideas, creative breakthroughs, emotional clarity, unexpected solutions, rapid learning. Neuroscientists believe hypnosis activates a state similar to advanced meditation, flow states, creative trance, deep introspection. The subconscious becomes temporarily unlocked, allowing better pattern recognition, intuitive leaps, emotional understanding, faster learning, more powerful imagination. Some hypnotized subjects even perform tasks they struggle with when awake. Solving puzzles, improving memory, recalling languages, performing complex skills. The brain becomes a more integrated network. Your brain predicts danger, success, acceptance, rejection, pleasure, pain, future outcomes. These predictions come from past experiences and shape your behavior. The subconscious is constantly asking, is this safe? Do I deserve this? Will this work? Can I do this? Under hypnosis, these predictive models become flexible. They can be rewritten. Hypnosis can adjust self-worth predictions, danger predictions, failure expectations, habit triggers, emotional interpretations. This is why hypnosis feels like changing the mind from the inside. You're not just thinking differently, your brain expects differently. And expectation is one of the most powerful forces in human behavior. Artists, musicians, innovators, writers, all experience moments of inspiration where ideas seem to appear out of nowhere. Under hypnosis, creative regions of the brain, like the default mode network, become highly active. People report surreal imagery, story-like visions, symbolic experiences, intuitive understanding, problem-solving breakthroughs. This happens because critical thinking quiets, imagination expands, emotional barriers fall, inner associations become fluid, symbolic thinking rises. Hypnosis creates the same neurological conditions as deep meditation, dream states, flow, trance states in artists and musicians. It's not surprising that some of the world's greatest innovators used forms of self-hypnosis, including Nikola Tesla, Thomas Edison, Salvador Dali, Mozart, Einstein. They used trance-like states to access internal creativity. Hypnosis gives ordinary people that same doorway. Every reaction you have is a pattern. Fear pattern, anger pattern, confidence pattern, eating pattern, sleeping pattern, speaking pattern, thinking pattern. These patterns run automatically. Hypnosis doesn't erase patterns. It interrupts and rewrites them. For example, if someone has a fear of speaking, it's not because speaking is dangerous. It's because the subconscious associates speaking with judgment, embarrassment, rejection. Hypnosis rewrites the association. The subconscious begins to associate speaking with calm, confidence, control, empowerment. This is how people transform through hypnosis. They don't try harder. Their internal coding gets updated. Your inner voice is not random. It's built from past experiences, criticism, praise, trauma, beliefs, identity patterns. Some people have a supportive inner voice. Others have a destructive one. Under hypnosis, the harsh inner critic quiets. The compassionate voice becomes accessible. New internal narratives form. Negative internal scripts lose authority. This happens because hypnosis increases communication between emotional centers, memory centers, identity centers. It's easier to introduce self-love, forgiveness, confidence, clarity, strength. People often say they feel like themselves, but better after hypnosis. This is because the subconscious finally updates old stories. Symbols are shortcuts for meaning. A door opening, a bright light, a heavy weight lifting, walking into a new room, rising upward, breaking chains. These symbols bypass logic and go straight to the emotional core. When a hypnotist says, "Imagine stepping into a brighter version of yourself," the subconscious interprets this as permission, transformation, identity change, emotional rewriting. Symbols are the language of the subconscious. Hypnosis speaks that language. You can say you want success, but if you feel you don't deserve it, the subconscious will block you. You can say you want confidence, but if you feel unsafe, the subconscious will hold you back. Under hypnosis, your emotional beliefs become flexible. New emotional truths can be installed. Limiting beliefs can dissolve. Self-worth can rise. Fear can release. The subconscious doesn't care about logic. It responds to emotional truth, imagery, repetition, expectation. Hypnosis uses all four. Many people describe hypnosis as connecting with something deeper, receiving inner wisdom, hearing answers from within, feeling guided. Neuroscientists have several explanations. The brain integrates networks that are normally separate. Inner conflicts resolve, allowing clarity. Creative and emotional centers activate. The ego relaxes, letting intuition speak. Self-awareness increases. Hypnosis does not open a cosmic portal, but it does open cognitive pathways that are normally blocked. This is why people feel wiser under hypnosis, because they are accessing more of their own brain at once. One of the strangest phenomena under hypnosis is this. You can be deeply relaxed, emotionally absorbed, and still aware of the hypnotist's voice. This is called dissociated awareness. In this state, the observing mind watches quietly. The subconscious receives instructions. The conscious mind doesn't interfere. This is the ideal state for transformation. Hypnosis doesn't remove awareness. It separates awareness into observer, participant, responder. This is why hypnotized people often remember everything, but still change dramatically. People often say, "I feel more like myself during hypnosis." Why? Because hypnosis temporarily silences shame, reduces fear, quiets self-doubt, removes survival mode thinking, disconnects old conditioning. This allows authentic desires, inner wisdom, calm confidence, natural intuition, real personality to emerge. Hypnosis isn't about creating a new self. It's about revealing the self buried underneath fear and conditioning. As we close this part, remember, your subconscious is not a mystery to fear. It is an intelligence, a memory bank, a prediction engine, a creativity generator, a pattern machine, always working, always adapting. Hypnosis doesn't overpower it. It collaborates with it.